welcome to Keep Your Head Up Hockey. I'm your host, Jamie. We've got Dylan Jose, Brendan Finch, and Mr. J-Dog himself in the house. And a big shout out to Core 4 once again. Thanks so much for supporting us. You guys are the best. And this is your Saturday night hockey pregame show. And we've got the Canes and Leafs. And the Canes are coming into Toronto with a different roster and really coming to play. They've got to win the games down the stretch in the playoffs, and so do we. So should be a good one. We are shooting Thursday, so just keep that in mind. We've got Philly playing tonight, so hopefully the Leafs get it done against them. But yeah, we'll get going here. I'm going to set it up here with a little bit of stats. So we've got Carolina 39, 20, and 6. As well as Toronto, 37, 19, and 8 this year. Last meeting was back in December 30th. The Hurricanes ended up topping the Leafs 3-2. So payback's a bitch. And we got them tonight in our building once again. We played them on Saturday tonight, as well as on the 24th. So we've got kind of a home and home series where we got them in Toronto on Saturday and then on the 24th in Carolina. So should be interesting. The Leafs, they've Carolina's had our number. In the regular season, they beat us 69 times, 45 losses, 17 overtime losses, and then the Leafs have beat them 51 times, 62 losses, and 18 overtime losses. And Hurricanes in life have got us beat in the playoffs too, 4-2. Only faced off against them once in a series. So yeah, we've got some payback to do, and it'd be nice to do it in the regular season. Last 5 games, Hurricanes have done well, 3-2 in the last 5. They just lost to the Rangers on the 12th. Calgary, they got a win, 7-2 win in Calgary. New Jersey, 4-2 win there, and then Montreal 4-1. And then they lost to Winnipeg, good team in Winnipeg there. So lost to Winnipeg 5-3. Maple Leafs, kind of same schedule for the last 5 games. They've won 3 in the last 5. They beat Montreal recently. They lost to Boston 4-1. That tough game, that banger game. They beat Buffalo. Got some redemption on Buffalo. Beat them in overtime 2-1. They also lost to Boston again, right? 4-1. And then the Rangers. We won 4-3 in a shootout. So both teams are playing hot. Both teams are playing well. A little bit of an injury report, and then we'll throw it over to Dylan. We'll have a little bit of a round robin conversation about both teams and the stats, but a little bit of injury report. We've got Jake Drury for Carolina. He's day-to-day. Supposed to be back on the 14th, and then Jake Gunsel supposed to be back tonight on Thursday as well. But Mitch Marner's out for Toronto, and that's big news. I think kind of rolled his ankle pretty bad, so we'll see about that. And then Mark Giordano is on the IR. No real estimate of when he's coming back yet, but hopefully he comes back soon. So next topic, but we'll talk about it here. What do you guys think about Carolina? They've been a pretty good competition for us, and they've taken our goalie Frederik Andersen. They've been a pretty good squad to play against, and there's a little bit of a rivalry there now. Let's throw it over to Dylan for what do you think about Carolina and how they're playing?
Yeah, it's their power play for me that gets the job done, and that's what beat us last game. 2 goals on the power play, and then they just shut you down. And I mean, the Leafs had their chances against them like they do in every other team, and they just seem to not get the puck luck or whatever. Hockey gods aren't smiling too brightly on them against Carolina by the overall lifetime stats and the way they played against them last game. They didn't play a bad game against this team. They just couldn't get the puck in the net. And now they're facing a bit of adversity on Saturday. Although the reports are saying Mitch Marner might play, I think it depends on what happens tonight and where the Leafs are. Because, I mean, why rush Marner back into the lineup? They're not going to rush him back into the lineup. No. They don't. It's not a game they must win. They are chasing Boston right now in the standings, but they have 3 games in hand. And if they can win the next 3 games, they can really put a squeeze on Boston. And I think I say it's not a must win, but I mean, down the stretch here, we want to, I think, overcome Boston. I said this in our show on Tuesday night about home ice advantage and how important that's going to be in the playoffs against Boston. So it'll be interesting to see how they do tonight without Mitch Marner. And if they do well enough, I think they don't rush Marner back. And they've got Bertuzzi on the top line tonight. So the lineup is kind of interesting with Bertuzzi, Matthews, and Yarncroc making the top line. I like that line. Yeah. I do. I feel like there's a lot of grit, a lot of there's not too much fanciness, and guys that can just do what this team is lacking, which is throw the puck at the net, get to the fucking net, and jam it in there. Quit trying to score the fancy goals and make the fancy plays. Like that'll come. But at the end of the day, like, this is hockey. We're down the stretch. We're entering into playoff atmosphere. The dipsy doodling and the fanciness isn't going to cut it unless you're on the power play. So, that's exactly where the Leafs need to be. Domi, Tavares, Nylander. Hopefully they can get Tavares going. And the one thing I really like about the lineup tonight, which is probably going to be the lineup on Saturday night, is that Nyes McMahon combination with Camp centering him. So a lot of the guys on the broadcast the other night were talking about Nyes and McMahon together and the chemistry they have and the ease at which they play together. And I think it's important for Nyes and McMahon because they're able to communicate and tell each other what to do. Whereas I can't remember who was saying it on the broadcast, but Nyes playing with the big boys, hard for him to say anything out there. Hard for him to say, hey, listen, I want to try this, or let's go do this. So with him and McMahon, we may have found some chemistry that we didn't have before. And I like Liljegren in the lineup against Carolina too. He scored his first goal last time against these guys. He's got some offensive prowess. And even without Giordano, I like this defensive core that we have. And Jay's going to talk about that too. Like it's gonna look good on Saturday night. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm calling it now. They're gonna get the win.
All right, we're gonna come back to you, Dylan, to talk about Carolina and their young team here in just a second. But we'll throw it over to Jay and then over to Brennan to talk about the Leafs, and maybe we'll talk to Jay about the new defense and what he really thinks about our additions and what they're going to look like on Saturday.
Well, I think they've been basing a lot of their success over the last little while around Benoit. He's been probably their most stable defenseman. He is not afraid to throw the body. He's not afraid to get mixing it up in front of the net. He doesn't mind being aggressive. And I think only with this addition to Edmondson, I think that kid's, well, first of all, he's a monster. We discussed it the other day. He's like 6'5" and I think 230 or something like that. And, he's a force to be reckoned with. He's a solid hockey player. You've just added another dynamic to the back end. And I believe I'm having a brain fart though, but I believe they addressed the right-handed situation with that, right? Is he not a right-handed shooter?
He is a right-handed shooter.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure that was the whole point of who was available left over, because there might even have been a couple of guys that might have been a little bit more skilled, but it addresses that. And I think that it shores up the defense. This is not like there's not going to be any Norris Trophy winners coming out of this defense corps, but as much as I love Riley,
almost a Lady Byng Trophy winner, but
I love Riley. I think he's a great defenseman, but he's not. There's other defensemen that are much better than him. There's a few like super standout defensemen in the last year and a half, 2 years. So Riley, I think he's a top 5 D guy, but he's in the top 5. But there's a distance between the top 3 and the next 2 guys. There really is. So,
well, Brennan, what do you got to say about the Leafs? Well, throw it over to Brennan for a bit. What do you got to say about the Leafs and how they've been playing lately and the stretch down towards the playoffs here?
Oh, I mean, I can't even take anything away from the fact that they've been playing good hockey. I'm gonna go ahead and just address.
This is my favorite part of the show.
I know, me too.
When the Sens fan talks about how much he likes the Leafs and how good they are.
I've got money on the Leafs tonight.
Yes.
Probably never happen again for 2 reasons. 1, the show hasn't taken off to the point where I'm financially stable enough to keep on pounding money into the Leafs. 2, I have about as much trust as you guys do.
Fair enough. We do agree.
But not
there.
so fast. I'll tell you what. Let's talk about Liljegren and Dylan's reference to his offensive prowess.
Here we go.
45 games played this year, 2 goals, 15 assists. Fuck. Get back. Anyways, I'm not going to beat you up too much on that one. But I will say this is going to be an exciting matchup. I'll tell you, Carolina's a hell of a team. If these two teams meet in the playoffs, it'll be fucking exciting. I'll tell you that, because that Carolina rink is fucking dynamic, man. I'll tell you, the atmosphere there, all the celebrating and stuff that everybody gave them shit for a couple of years ago. I love it. I fucking love it. And who wouldn't? I mean, you got people staying after the game. They weren't even showing up before that shit started happening. Let's face it, right? That's fandom. I mean, you start to. I mean, look at what's that baseball team? The whatever Bananas or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not baseball players. They had Roger Clemens out there on the mound the other night. I saw. It's a spectacle, but I mean,
they've got a really great show. I see clips of them all.
Bums and seats, man. Bums and seats, right? And I'll tell you that rink gets rocking, and I love it. And I think this could be actually a little bit of a precursor as to what might happen come playoff time. And that will be fucking exciting to watch these two teams play, because Aho is awesome. Obviously, I don't have to talk because you guys already Neil and Bob on on your boy Matthews, so I don't really have to talk about him. He's awesome. I'll never say that again. But he's a spectacle. He's awesome. But Aho, I'd love to see those two guys go head to head in a 7-game series. I will say that it might only go 5 because I don't like the Leafs, but it would be an exciting series.
They picked up Getzel as well, though, right?
That's yep, and that's a big addition I was going to touch on too. In terms of excitement and build up for this game, these two teams are both coming into it. I wouldn't say red hot, but both of them. I mean, in the last 10 are above 500 and playing good hockey. I think Toronto's got 7 wins in the last 10. I think Carolina's got 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, with Teravainen, Aho, and Svechnikov, they got their own little 4-headed monster.
They're exciting to watch, man, and they don't get a lot of press up here, right? So I mean, it's something that we don't see.
Yeah. Well, Dylan, let's talk a little bit about the Sebastian Aho and the young guns on Carolina, and then we're going to throw it over to Brennan to talk about the goalie matches up tonight.
Yeah, everyone loves this Aho guy, and why not, right? He's dynamic, he's fast, awesome. He shoots, he scores. I mean, he's an unbelievable player. And then you've got Gensel in the lineup. I actually want to talk a bit about Teravainen because he's on a bit of a heater. Mm-hmm. He has 6 points in the last 2 games, 5 goals in the last 6 games, 5 games, 3 goals in the last 5 games. So, to put him over the 20 score mark. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of threat on this team. And then, of course, Jake Gensel, who, I looked up his stats. He's got 11 points against the Leafs in 16 games. So he's almost a point a guy against the Leafs. One of those guys that loves playing the big games. And let's face it, when the Leafs are in town, there's these teams that they play against. If they're remotely good, they kick it into another gear. And that's been the Leafs' Achilles heel for their entire life, because nobody likes Leaf fans. They fly every building. Good. Even if they're not good, that's true. They like to pound the Leafs when they're down, and they like to try to crush them when they're good, and not let us Leaf fans swim in the glory that we so think we deserve. And with being in everybody's building and everybody's face all the time, like, fuck, man, like, I would be so mad if I wasn't a Leaf fan. I'd be losing my shit. I'd be like Brennan and every other disgruntled NHL fan out there going, get out of our barn.
Pretty much fuck you guys.
Right. Exactly.
Straight
up.
But what Carolina's got their defense score, man. I'll tell you, they got 165 points on amongst them already. Is like, as far as the guys, points per guy, and they move the puck fast. They're very they're dynamic. I find very similar to Colorado as far as the way they move the puck.
Mhm.
And you still got Bernsey back there. I mean, what kind of pedigree
Yeah.
for leadership are you going to get better than that? You know,
Mhm.
and the guy, like, you know damn well, you're just sitting in there listening to him tell stories in the locker room about snakes and losing his teeth and whatever else. You know, he'd just be fun to listen to.
His farm in Texas.
Yeah. Like, anyway, he's a legend. He's a friggin' phenomenal hockey player. He could have been
He
a
really
forward. It wouldn't have mattered. It didn't matter where he played. He could probably play net too. He's dumb enough to probably play in net. You know. Anyway, as far as that team he's exactly what they needed. And then you pick up a guy like Getzel, like you said, and then you got all the new Finnish flashes, I guess, on that team that are like the whole team's
A bunch
solid
of young
already.
kids.
They've got
some
4
young
lines.
kids.
They got 4 lines, and they're
They're-
running on all 4.
yeah.
You know, they use
And they
them.
got
The coaching
Rod
there-
the Bod, right? As their
Yeah.
like
Yeah, and
fatherly figure behind the bench. Keep up with that guy. They don't have some fat ass bald guy behind the bench. That's you know.
I love Rod.
Yeah.
Oh, Rod's a
Ron
West
the Bod
Coast
is
guy.
that might have
Yeah.
came out wrong. That might have came out wrong.
Yeah.
He's been there
Oh,
forever.
Garter
gosh.
Sens fan. So you know,
Fuck off.
He's been a great coach, great player.
a lot of
I
Ron
think-
Levin Sens fans up here.
Yeah, he really has. What a great player in the NHL, and he brings a lot to that dressing room and a lot of leadership behind that bench. And he's really done a really good job with Carolina. And you know, this might be one of the years that they might make a deep playoff run. You never
Goaltending
know.
as well.
Yeah, it's a completely different season once you get to the playoffs, right? So it's just a bunch of heart is what happens, and the teams with the biggest heart normally get all the way, and we'll see what happens. But we're gonna throw
What
it over to
happened to
Brennan.
that-
Brennan's
wait,
gonna be
wait.
talking about the what's that?
What happened to them? Did they who did they play in the playoffs last year? Did they even make it last year?
I
Were
don't
they
even
in?
remember.
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Don't
They
even
definitely
remember
were
off
in.
the
Did
top
they
of
play
my head.
New
Yeah.
York or something? Or who? Were they a
Yeah.
wild card team? Like that's the thing. Like it's one of those teams you kind of forget about because everyone was focused on Florida and
Yeah,
what Florida
Florida
did.
and Vegas, right? But yeah, we'll keep the show going. We'll talk about the puck stoppers in net. Well, potentially, we'll talk about all the puck stoppers for both teams, and we're gonna have Brendan lead this conversation about the potential puck stoppers for Saturday. We don't know; they haven't been announced yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's a pretty obvious choice that Samsonov is actually starting to heat up at the right time, and he's going to be the obvious nod, especially in an important game like this against a team like Carolina. I think that he's going to be the obvious nod on Saturday, barring any injuries or anything crazy like that, heaven forbid. But I mean, it's tough to go against a guy like Samsonov because, I mean, let's face it, the criticism that this guy has fucking faced over the course of the season on a winning team, it's not his fucking fault. But you guys blame him. But anyways, he's starting to heat up, and at the right time. But on the other hand, you know, you got cut your cock off. I mean, Kochikov. He's a good goaltender, man. And they got Freddie, right? I mean, they picked up your sloppy seconds, and so I mean, it's going to be a tough matchup, and with the goal scorers on both sides. It could very well, and it probably will come down to goaltending. I could see it actually being like a 7-5 game or something like that, and goaltending getting credit for the win.
Yeah.
I don't see a guy like Revo either getting in the lineup against a team like Carolina.
No,
I don't
can't
think
fucking
they
do
don't
it.
really need.
I
for him.
would.
He's playing tonight against Philly, but I feel like they're going to bring in they need some speed. Like Gregor's probably going to be that
Extra
fourth
guy?
line extra guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
I
believe
would.
that he's
He'd-
already got a shot on goal tonight.
But I'm not the coach.
Mind
of the Leafs,
blown.
So Jesus, put me behind the bench.
Yeah.
Put you
Well,
behind the
well,
bench. You do it just as well as Keith, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I gotta say that Samsonov
my record
make a
as
lot of
a
saves.
my record as a House C U13 U11 coach when I had to step up and coach when other coaches were away is pretty darn good, I'll tell you. You know, so
Right
just
on.
saying.
I mean,
Well,
you know
we'll
what?
keep the show going.
Throw your
It's
name
a
in the
short
hat.
one for the pregame. Let's keep it going with J-Dog. Keys to success for both teams. Why don't we start off with Carolina? If Carolina is going to beat the Leafs, what do they got to do, Jay?
Well,
Score more goals.
You know, you can say all the euphemisms you want or whatever. You know, you got to be running on all 4 cylinders, blah blah blah. But that's exactly what's going to happen. You got to have your team playing the way it can play. And with Carolina, their big stars have to play. We've mentioned them all already, and they've got a couple of guys on. Like, I really think that their defense is going to be the key as far as the success is concerned. Because let's face it, when all 3 of the first 3 lines of Toronto decide to start cycling the puck in the other end, that's where they score goals. You know, and if Carolina can collapse well, and if they can get rid of the puck well, and get it out of their own zone, that's the only thing that I see that they have an issue with, is sometimes they get running around in their own end and they have a hard time getting the puck out of their own end. Everything else they do extremely well, but I'm just saying when they do break down, that's the problem. They don't usually break down. So, you know, that'll be the thing to take advantage of. If you can get them running around, they do have some older guys on defense, like Burns is not young anymore, you know, and you get them running around, get them, you know, and wasting their energy. I think the Leafs, they can outskate them in their own end very well. I think that'll be.
And with Marner out of the lineup, what are the Leafs got to do to get a W at home against a tough team like Carolina, Jay?
What that's it right there. Like, it's vice versa. You know, the Leafs just need to get them running around in their own end. I think that there's going to be. I think power plays are going to be very important. Both teams can score on a power play, and I think that's going to be the key to success for both teams. And penalty kills. Obviously, you know, these are lightning teams, man. They're fast, they're dynamic, they pass well, and they don't waste a lot of time. So, like, if the Leafs are going to score on a power play, they usually score in the first 30 seconds, you know, and if they don't score after that, or if it gets past that, they don't usually score too much, you know. So I think you got to get at it as soon as you get a penalty in your favor, you know, that you on the power play, you gotta take advantage of it right away, because both these teams can score. And you make one mistake, the speed of both teams, all 3 lines can fly. So on both teams. So I think mistakes, power plays, and penalty kills. That's the whole game.
I think that I'll touch on this here, and I want to hear what Dylan has to say and Brent has to say too. But I really think that the key to success for Carolina would be, if Samsonov's playing, is get bodies in front of him. If they're going to score some goals, they've got to get in front of that guy. He's been playing really hot. And Toronto, religiously, has always had trouble getting guys into the front of the net. And I think that tonight might be a really good example of that, and a really good test for them going into the playoffs, because Boston loves to clog that front of the net as well. And I think that's a huge key to success for Toronto, is to guys kind of, you know, make room in front of that net for Samsonov, because if he can see the puck, you know, he's been stopping it lately. So I really think that's going to be a huge key to success. And I think too, Toronto's got to carry that puck. I hate when they dump and chase the puck. It's not their game. It's not their style. Carry that puck into the zone, keep that puck on, and cycle that puck, like Jay was saying, and really wear down these guys. But yeah, throw it over to Dylan. What do you think here about the keys to success for both teams? And if you want to just touch on the Leafs for both, you can go right ahead. But what do you got to say about that?
Well, it just kind of goes to Jay's point about wearing them out and dogging Carolina in their own zone and keeping them pinned in there. And the Leafs are really good at that, especially in the second period. They're a second period team that play well with the long change, and they get pucks in deep, and they can move the puck, and their board plays so well, and they can really hold the zone really well. And that's going to be a huge factor here when they, in the second periods of every game they play going forward, but especially against these better teams like Carolina, is to hem teams in, get a couple fresh legs out there, and get the matchups. So Keith's got to be on his game to make sure that he's matching guys up and getting Matthews against some of the slower D-core of Carolina. And I said it earlier too, it's pucks to the net, more pucks to the net, second, third chances, pick up the rebounds. These guys have skill. So in tight, if there's a puck bouncing around, it's going to get to them. They have the ability to stick handle and maneuver that puck, especially Matthews. I mean, you've seen it all year. It's amazing what he does with the puck at a high speed. How his brain functions like that at the NHL level is just, it's unbelievable. I'd like to put a fucking brain scan on that guy when he's playing hockey just to see how his neurons are firing in there, because it's amazing. Like I to think on his at that speed, Connor McDavid type guys that can just think so fast from brain to hands to reading the play. It's like, dude, they're like fucking little computers, man. It's unbelievable.
Well, you heard it first. Matthews is a computer. I love it. Brennan, final thoughts on keys to success for both teams in the Saturday night matchup against Carolina.
It's going to come down to goaltending. It's going to come down to whether or not Samsonov shits himself like he normally does under pressure in the big games, or if he actually shows up like he has been here recently. Because if he plays like he has been, that's going to be an obvious difference maker, right? But really, it's going to come down to odd man rushes, power plays, all the just generic shit that people say are the keys to success. But really, with two teams that are this evenly matched, it's tough to say that it would come down to anything other than that, right? These two teams are really evenly matched. It's going to be exciting to watch. I really hate watching the Leafs because they win too much, in my opinion, but this is going to be a fun one to watch. And it's really going to come down to whether or not Samsonov shows up to play. We'll see. He's played in the big games. He's played under pressure. He shit the bed. He's actually played well a couple of times, but most of the time we're leaning towards the bed shitting, and hopefully that's not the case for you guys. But
funny how you keep mentioning it, though.
I mean,
he's a Sens fan. He comes by it honestly.
I mean, well, to be honest, I mean, who's been calling for his head all season? Has it been me, or has it been the three guys on the panel with me?
Me for sure.
So what's going to be the key to success against a good team?
Hit for that way.
You fucking guys. Samsonov is my guy.
Yeah, Samsonov save. Yeah, but he's been playing great.
It's amazing how you guys' opinion changes.
Yeah, come on.
I said that on the last show.
Everybody,
Things change.
Yeah, everybody needs a break.
Yeah,
everybody needs a break, and he took that break and reset and came back just firing. So, you know what? Thanks again for tuning in.
The defense played so much better too.
Yeah, shout out to Core 4 again. You guys are the best. Just a quick plug here for KK Poker. KK Poker is not available in Ontario, unfortunately, because of Ontario law, but kkpoker.net is our new partner. If you're not in Ontario, check them out. Really cool. Lots of live satellites for live tournaments in Canada. Really cheap to buy in, $15, $20, $30, depending on the price of the seat that you're going to win. Lots of great online games there, so check them out. But again, a big shout out to Core 4. Thanks so much for the support, guys. We appreciate you. We hope that you enjoyed the Saturday night pregame show with Keep Your Head Up Hockey. Do one favor for us. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the show. Share the show. Tell a friend when you're watching the Leaf game tonight. Say, you know what? Every Saturday, I watch Keep Your Head Up Hockey, and I love the show. So please tell some friends. Let's grow this show, but keep supporting Core 4, and be nice to your moderators there. Those guys are the best. Dan and James, you're fantastic. But thanks for watching again. Keep your head up, and we'll see you next week. And don't forget about our Tuesday show every Tuesday, 8 p.m. on YouTube. Be there or be square. We'll see you next week. Take care.